With the weather in Boston getting warmer by day, there's no doubt that swimsuit season is trickling into the minds of residents. This means it's time to shed that winter weight by adding regular exercise and healthy eating habits to our daily lives. This means dropping that ice cream cone and picking up an apple. But what if your apple isn't just an apple? Do you know what it takes to grow your produce? Thanks to the introduction of genetically modified foods to our global market in the late 90s, you might not. So what is a genetically modified food? A genetically modified food, or GMF, is a food that has had specific changes introduced into its DNA through genetic engineering. Basically, a GMF is a food that has been changed genetically for a specific purpose. Most GMFs are plants that have been modified to stay fresh for longer or to be pest resistant by incorporating foreign genes for protein production that make such mutations possible. The most commonly modified foods are soybeans, corn, tomatoes, sugarcane, and rice. According to the Grocery Manufacturers of America, roughly 90% of each in the U.S. are genetically modified, and approximately 75% of processed foods in America contain GM ingredients. Genetically modified foods are an excellent advancement to science for many reasons. GMFs create crops that are pest resistant, eliminating the need for pesticides. They also create crops that are fresher for longer periods of time. Both of these benefits combined create crops that are being pushed from farmer to consumer, feeding more mouths and paying out more farmers. But what about the unknown? How will GMFs affect ecosystems and humans over time? Will natural and organic foods cease to exist? Let's turn to our expert, Jeff Smith, for his take on GMFs.
And this is the history of the genetically modified food and safety issues. I'll start in 1989. Individuals started going to doctors with all sorts of very severe symptoms. They had incredible pain, greater pain than the doctors had ever seen in their entire careers. Hair was falling out, there was memory loss, there was muscle weakness. Some people had their muscles tighten up and uncontrollably lock. The skin became leathery and painful. And the doctors were baffled. They had never seen this set of symptoms. Or maybe they thought it was something else like fibromyalgia because there was muscle pain involved. But they weren't sure. The doctors that did blood tests noticed an unusual signature of this disease. A white blood cell called the eosinophils, the count was huge. Some doctors had the initiative to look in the literature and said, who knew a lot about eosinophils? And a name kept coming up over and over again, Jerry Gleich. And Jerry Gleich was from the Mayo Clinic, and he was one of the national experts on eosinophils. So this one doctor who I interviewed from New Mexico, he called Phil Gleich, and Phil said, you know, you're not the first doctor that called me about this set of symptoms with elevated white blood cells. Call this other doctor in New Mexico and see if their patients have something that's similar in their histories. And sure enough, they had 3 different patients to deal with, and all 3 were taking the food supplement L-tryptophan. So what was it about the L-tryptophan? Well, some wanted to argue that it was L-tryptophan itself. But consider this, all the people that got sick were only consuming one of the 6 brands in the United States. They were all produced in Japan, but only the Showa brand was causing sickness, and it had some contaminants in it that the others didn't. So this concept that it was tryptophan itself, we'll throw that out. Then they found out that this company was genetically engineering the bacteria to produce the tryptophan more economically. And they had introduced a strain on December 24th, 1988. But 2 weeks later, they changed the filter method on their manufacturing process, reduced the amount of carbon, which could have allowed more contaminants to get through. This was the key for the biotechnology industry to jump on its excuse and say, aha, it wasn't genetic engineering, it was the change in the filter. And that's what got them off the hook.
It seems there are multiple sides to every story, with arguments for and against GMFs. Are they worth the potential health risks, or will they change the world for the better? I myself am on the fence at this point, so I turn to my fellow Emerson College students for a second opinion. Do you know what a genetically modified food is?
I know that it's something that's been like processed and stuff, and it's not organic, so they put other chemicals in it to make it last longer or taste better.
They have to alter the seeds, right? I don't really know, but no, I have no idea.
So what do you believe the risks are?
That you don't know where your food's coming from, that you don't know what's in it, if there's kind of dangerous chemicals or dangerous ingredients in them.
Well, I know it can kind of mitigate diversity, which is not a very sustainable practice in the long run.
So what about benefits of genetically modified foods?
I mean, you can get different vitamins and minerals from the food you eat instead of organic food that may not have everything in it.
Maybe taking out like bad things from foods and not leaving them in there.
Do you think there's a future for GM foods?
Yes, I think it is the future. Even though I don't really support it, I think that almost everything will become genetically modified.
We're already doing it now, and it's probably in a steady increase to becoming more abundant in our society. So yeah, I'd say so.
As of now, there seems to be numerous misconceptions about genetically modified foods. Lucky for us, there are other options such as natural and organic, so the choice is up to you. This is Brittany Murphy, back to you in the classroom.